Joe Biden signs an executive order to study cryptocurrencies and the digital dollar. Hey guys, it's Chris Tan, your Bitcoin buddy, and today we're going to talk about CBDCs in light of the fact that the US government is now focused on being able to create a digital dollar and how it affects cryptocurrencies. So first, let's start with the definition of the digital dollar. A CBDC is a central bank digital currency. Now, a lot of people ask me, does that mean that it's a cryptocurrency? Not necessarily. It can be, but the central bank digital currency is centralized because the government wants to have a lot of control over the currency, and they want to be able to also be able to have custody of that currency in case of fraud or money laundering or illicit activities. They want to be able to have custody and seize those assets. And that's the basic problem that digital CBDCs or digital currencies have, is that it doesn't make much of a difference between the current digital cash that we have now in its current form. So what are the advantages, and why does the government want to move towards having a CBDC? I think that the government is looking at CBDCs much like how they're looking at cryptocurrencies and trying to figure out what are the assets that cryptocurrencies have that they can implement into the digital cash and be able to marry it to come up with a CBDC. Now remember that China is already experimenting and doing a testing of CBDC, the digital yuan, with its citizens right now to see how it was going to work and to be able to see if it was going to be something that can be used and expanded all over their country. I think they're going to be able to do that, but there is a problem when your government is not a government you can trust. So when you talk about an authoritarian government like China and they're holding on to your digital cash where they can see everything that you do with it and how you spend it, that's kind of scary, right? So with a country that's a democracy, it's not so bad, but with an authoritarian regime, that's a little bit scarier because they can confiscate it, they can arrest you, they can do a lot of things with you, and see what you're doing with the money, and you practically are under a microscope when it's a CBDC. So that's why I think there's going to be a little bit of resistance with the conversion to CBDC, unless they make the CBDC into a cryptocurrency. So if the CBDC is not a cryptocurrency, it's practically the same as digital cash as we know it. That's what you use with the digital cash you spend with the banks apps and also with payment solutions provider like Gcash and Paymaya. So how will it be different? Well, there's one big difference. It's this. If they make it a CBDC, that means that we eliminate all the banks and all the payment solutions providers, and that the app will now be provided by the central bank. And all transactions will be monitored by the central bank through their server, which is centralized. So that's one big change that'll happen. For us consumers, we won't see the difference in terms of how our user experience, but the difference on the back end is huge because it will take out every bank and every payment solutions provider. They're going to be non-existent at this point. So how are they going to be doing this? Well, what they're going to be doing is, to be able to create a CBDC, is they're going to have to ask every citizen and every bank to surrender their physical cash. Surrender it to the central bank, and in return, the central bank will issue a CBDC of the exact amount that was surrendered to them by the citizens and the banks. So then it throws it back out into the system or to the entire country in the form of a digital currency. Now, this is where I think the government or the central bank should take out the banks. The banks, when they get it, should now disperse all of that money to the digital wallets of the individual. So now the individual holds their own currency or their own money, their own cash. And the banks will cease to exist at this point, because from there on, it's kind of like it's still custodial because it's a central bank that really holds it in their server, but you have more control of your money as compared to having it in the bank. So that's how they're going to be able to implement it. And I know that probably some of you are thinking, okay, so what are the advantages if they convert it from not just a CBDC, but into a CBDC that's a cryptocurrency. Well, to do that, they're going to have to put the digital currency into the blockchain. Number one. Number two, they have to protect it with cryptography so that it's not hackable. Number three, it has to be decentralized. So that means that they're going to have to let validators from all over the Philippines be validating the transactions, and anyone should and could be a validator, and that's the beauty of it. So imagine that all of the Philippines, all the Filipinos that have a computer or even a cell phone can validate all the transactions. So what the government can do is have validators all over the Philippines validate the transactions. And they can just open it up to anyone if they want via proof of stake, or use the same system as what Ethereum does or any other blockchains are currently doing. There are a lot of different variations of this that are very, very effective. So by doing it this way, at least you know that number one, the money is safe. Number two, that all transactions are verified and it doesn't require a third party or a central bank to verify it. So, and then we make all the transactions transparent and we make all the transactions immutable because it's on the blockchain and it's protected by cryptography. So when you do that, at least you know that there are not going to be any fake transactions and it's going to be impossible for hackers to be able to hack the system. That's how you protect the CBDC using cryptocurrency. And I believe that that is the way that they should go. Now, if they do it that way, I know government's probably wondering, so how are we going to be able to tax this? Quite easy, actually. Let's get rid of the entire tax system as we know it in the Philippines right now and change it to a simplified system of transaction fees as taxes. For example, right now, when you have a salary, you have to give the government like 30% approximately, right? And then every time you spend money, you pay 10% VAT on all your transactions, right? So why not do it this way? Why not have a transaction fee of, let's say, 10% or 15% on all transactions uniformly? And that's it. By doing it that way, the government now simplifies the entire tax system and eliminates corruption on all levels. Think about it this way. Anytime you do a transaction with anyone, the central bank gets 10% or 15% of the entire transaction. And okay, let's say maybe 10% and the 5% is divided amongst all the validators. Something like that. And then in that way, the money goes directly to the central bank, and the central bank, through orders of the government, will be able to disperse that money through the different agencies such as the DPWH, Department of Education, Department of Health, and whatever other department you need to be able to disperse it to. And then they also hire people, pay their staff, do with that money, and then it gets dispersed that way, and then the money all goes around, and now all the transactions are verifiable and all of it is transparent. I think it's going to be amazing when we're able to convert to a CBDC that's a cryptocurrency. Will it be done? That's a tough question. I think lawmakers will challenge this and they would not want to convert to a CBDC because that means there will be no more corruption. Or at least if there's corruption, it'll be easily identifiable and they can easily get charged and go to jail for any corrupt practices. Because once it's a CBDC, that's a cryptocurrency. I mean, imagine the Philippine peso as a cryptocurrency. It's a done deal. That's it. Everything is going to be transparent and corruption is gone, and we're going to see a better world that we live in compared to what it is today. So, what does that mean for cryptocurrencies all over the world if governments create a CBDC that's a cryptocurrency? That means that all cryptocurrency adoption is going to skyrocket. The network effect or Metcalfe's law is going to just go completely parabolic. That means that the prices of all cryptocurrencies are going to go up in value by a lot. What does that mean for Bitcoin? That means Bitcoin becomes the digital gold that I've always thought that it should be anyway, and it'll be a great store of value. And imagine now all, let's just call it CBDC stable coins, because it's going to be a cryptocurrency, will be able to participate in the cryptocurrency space. And for people like you and me, and for anyone in any country, they'll be able to convert it to any cryptocurrency that they want. It just basically speeds up adoption overall. I think that's a great thing. And that's why I'm in favor of CBDCs if it's a cryptocurrency. If it's not a cryptocurrency, I don't think it really makes much of a difference. And the government's just going to hassle themselves with this conversion with not much of a benefit in terms of where they are now and where they want to be. And that's it. So, if you guys have any comments, or if I missed anything, or if you think that my analysis is wrong, feel free to comment in the comment section below. And if you liked my analysis and my opinion on cryptocurrencies and CBDCs, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the link below and click on that notification bell so you're notified of my latest videos. Thanks so much, guys, and see you guys on the next video.